All right, welcome everybody. This is episode 15 of CreatorCast. I am Mike, TK5351.
And I'm Colin, TK97670.
And we have two guests today. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Well, Ken, go ahead because you're the elder statesman here.
Sure thing. I'm Ken, not a TK yet, but working on a Mandalorian mercenary costume.
Nice.
I'm Anthony God, and I'm envious of all of you.
Okay, well, Anthony, we'll get you... Colin and I, our podcast basically started to talk about the 501st. We vary off the topic quite a bit, but we will be glad to help you get in whatever costume you want to work towards. So today, Colin and I decided to talk about the Rise of Skywalker and our thoughts, opinions, and reviews. So this is a spoiler episode. So if you have not seen the movie and you listen to a Star Wars podcast and it's like 3 weeks later, there's probably something wrong with you for not seeing the movie. So first impression. Well, I think Colin should go first because Colin has two first impressions of the movie.
So what do you mean? What do you mean? I have two
first impressions?
Well,
oh, that's right, because I had to erase my memory and watch it again the second time.
So we probably should all go and say how many times we've seen it.
I've seen it twice.
Okay, Anthony, how about you?
I have seen it. It's hard to tell because I hate to admit this, but I have a dirty home copy. But I've seen it in a theater 3 times.
Okay, Ken.
I've seen it in the theater 3.5 times, and I've also seen it more times than that.
3.5? How'd you get half in a theater?
So the first night, on opening night, we have a tradition in my family where the 4 of us go together. My wife and 2 stepsons and I will go see it together. And then I'll buy a ticket for the showing immediately afterwards and watch it by myself.
Oh, okay.
And this year, I was really, really sick on opening night, and so I watched it once with the family, and then halfway through the second viewing, I left roughly halfway through because I just was not feeling well at all. So I was really, really sick to leave a Star Wars movie halfway through.
So some reviewer somewhere said that people hated it so much they left it halfway through, and you're probably one of the people.
I don't. Do you believe that? Do you really believe
no,
that?
I don't. Because that was said before it was even released.
That would be Cats.
Yeah.
I did walk out of a movie once, though. I did walk out. Oh, my God. Kill Bill. I don't know why. I just walked out of it.
Dude.
But then I liked it later on. I apologize.
I saw it 4 times, but I lucked out. Like, I saw it. I got to see it in 3D. With Colin, you didn't stay when we trooped that, did you?
No, I did not. That was the Whitaker Center.
Yeah. And Colin and I both saw it. We paid extra to see it at 5 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah, got a nice pin and a poster and everything.
Pin and poster. So the reason...
Despite my first impressions, I do have the poster hanging up in my office, though. It's I still give it respect where respect is due.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I wanted to say this. That's why I think, Colin, you should almost give it 2 reviews because, like, you looked in physical pain after seeing it at 5 o'clock. Because
I was also sick, so there was an aspect of physical pain there.
Yeah.
It had just worn off, but there was more than that. It was, upon my very first impression, it was very disappointing. After how much I had been made to feel the emotional impact of The Last Jedi for me. I was one of those people, by the way, Anthony and Ken, who loved Last Jedi. Loved it. It skyrocketed its way probably to my favorite Star Wars movie. At least, unpopular opinion here.
Oh, I loved it too, so.
But coming out of Rise of Skywalker, it followed exactly the way I expected it to. There were 0 twists and turns for me. There were good action moments, but there's nothing about it that made me feel, and even the moments that were supposed to make me feel, the whole movie was just so 0 to 100, so quick, so moving so fast, that I felt like it was suddenly gone past the emotional moments. So you're suddenly, boom, bye Leia, Again, spoiler alert. If people didn't believe us that there were spoilers in this, they should be gone now.
She went somewhere?
Yeah, right. But I felt like I was on a speeding train, out of control, being forced through the whole story without a chance to. There was no calm. There was no chance to reflect, and even the moment, like I'd say, the closest moment that I got to a point of reflection was Kylo's transformation back into Ben Solo, and he was communicating with Han Solo. That was probably the most calm part of the movie for me. That resonated the most,
Right?
Because everything else around it was just so explosive. It felt like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. That was like, the action is good and like it is enjoyable to watch, but from a story standpoint, and it was too much, and that's why I had to erase my memory of it and shut down all expectations and go see it again. And I will say I enjoyed it much better the second time through.
Yeah, because I knew something was up, because since Rogue One, a bunch of us have, and Colin was coming this time, we usually go to a diner and record for a couple podcasts, like a reaction show. And you weren't feeling well too. I'm just messing with you, but I mean I liked it from the beginning to end. Now, did you go in with spoilers? Like, did you?
No, I went in with zero spoilers, other than the knowledge that we were going to get Palpatine in the movie, which became increasingly clear as the trailers went on. What was the most disappointing thing to me, and what took me longer to get into the movie, because in those opening credits, they made it like in-universe canon that Palpatine was back.
Right.
I think it would have helped the story more. It would have maybe made it a little more effective if it took them a while to figure out, like, oh man, Palpatine's behind all of this. But at the beginning, it was like, let's throw an entire snowball of exposition in your face because Palpatine's back. Everybody knows Palpatine's back. Everybody knows every part of his plan right now because he announced it magically to the galaxy when nobody was looking. They might as well have had him. The feeling I got during the opening crawl was that he would have popped out on screen with a top hat and a cane, doing like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey. That was the vibe. And it pissed me off so much that it took me forever to get into into the rest of the movie.
All right, so
I knew.
Well, just as a warning, I have a membership card in my pocket that says I love everything Star Wars.
Yeah.
So,
okay, good.
So whether it's a Rogue One or this one, I loved it.
All right, Anthony, what was your first opinion of it?
I think I'm going to see myself out.
No, oh really?
Yeah, somebody else go, please.
I think that I think that the Rise of Skywalker had a very difficult job, and I don't recall. I mean, part of the challenge that you have with the Star Wars film in the modern day is dealing with the modern internet, and very few things, no matter how good, go without some sort of drama or opposition, just for the sake of it. Sometimes it seems, but in some cases, people have their ideologies and didn't like things, and they have really good points. I was not a great fan of The Last Jedi, and we can talk about that a little later on if you want. But part of what Rise of Skywalker tried to do and had to do was bring in the fans that did not like Last Jedi and reunite them into the reunite a storyline that was bifurcated, right? So regardless of whether you like The Last Jedi or not, there was, I don't know how to say this without giving away too much. I know for a fact that there was a lot of strife behind the scenes, and I can't say why, but you know my background a little bit. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and J.J. Abrams really there was a plot that was outlined, and Kathleen Kennedy, her decision to allow deviation from that plot without any real vision of where that was going to go once it changed became a real mess. And for what it was, I think the Rise of Skywalker, the exposition that was mentioned earlier, the first 20, 30 minutes, it is super fast. I mean, you're getting ideas and concepts, and this guy died, and this guy's back, and this guy's over here, and now they have this, ability for the, you have all these things happening right away. And only on subsequent rewatches do you really kind of take them in and enjoy them more. But the rest of the film was a J.J. Abrams film. Once they got to the part where they met Lando, the rest of it was, to me, very similar to the Force Awakens. Nothing terribly original, but nothing terribly nothing. It was entertaining, and I think what J.J. Abrams brings to Rise of Skywalker, what I enjoy, and I have watched it, like 6 or 7 times now, counting the home version, is that every bit of exposition, every scene, whether something action is going on or not, is entertaining to me. And I think that's JJ's kind of calling card, is that he makes things entertaining. And are the characters maybe stereotypes of themselves? Does Finn yell all the time? Is Poe overly dramatic over things that don't need to be overly dramatic? Was friendship really highly promoted when no one would ever do that in real life? Sure. But in the same token, the original Star Wars, 1977 Star Wars, had a lot of that going on too. And I think it's difficult for anybody that isn't George Lucas to recreate that unless they have a long history with it like Filoni does.
Right.
And,
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. And I enjoy it more every time I watch it.
Now, I think I liked it the first time I saw it, but I'm in the same camp as Ken. I still like the Christmas special, so I like anything with Star Wars on it. But as I watched it more, I did see more about it. But I think what disappointed me the most was I wish they would have marketed it like they marketed The Mandalorian. Like, I know it's hard to hide stuff, but man, they kept Baby Yoda under wraps, And I wish all these films would be, because I wish I wouldn't have known. It was neat at Celebration to for Ian McDiarmid to come out and but I wish that's all we would have got about the Emperor. Like, I wish that, because I quit watching trailers after Celebration. Like, I quit watching trailers. Because I didn't want to see anymore.
The thing that made me laugh about the trailers is they had one that they marketed as the final one, and then I think there were 37 after it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there was a lot of stuff shared before the movie even made it to the big screen.
And when Chewie died, you guys that know my daughter, she cries at drop of a hat in the Star Wars movie. She didn't get upset because she had seen one of the trailers where there was a scene with Chewie in it. Because that was my moment. If Chewie would have died, I think I would have disliked that movie.
You see, I think I would have liked it more if they had gone with it, because I didn't think they would, and I'm like, there's going to be no consequence. He was in another ship. It's going to be fine. And it took me so far out of the moment knowing that they weren't going to do that. I thought it would have been such a bold, amazing choice. I would have hated him for killing Chewie, but at the same time, that would have been a moment where I would have applauded them, like, yeah, let's mess up the Star Wars universe here. Let's do it. Let's murder the fans and do something that nobody would expect.
And I think that's what, and I think that's where you have all the baggage of 40 years plus of Star Wars expectations, and where the Mandalorian doesn't have that, because you don't know who these guys are, you don't know where they're going, you don't know anything about them, you have no expectations, and that's fueling Disney's desire to move away from this time period and start over again. So when you hear like Disney ruined Star Wars, well, Disney created the Mandalorian. It's just a different version of history that appeals to us, because we really have no idea who these people are, whereas we have expectations, Reylo, all these expectations people have about what the Star Wars movie, not what it could be, but what it should be. And you could never please anybody. So if Chewie had died, there are certain people that would be happy, and children everywhere would probably cry and not watch the movie again. And you have to kind of weigh those decisions when you make something like that, because you can't predict how many people will like and how many people won't, but there are lasting repercussions. Even with Ben Solo dying, they caught heat for that. If he would have stayed alive, they would have caught heat for that. It's really tough to make these movies.
Well, and that the C-3PO one was what my other daughter was worried about, because that clip of him, she was just worried he's going to get his mind erased, and that was Safi wouldn't even watch the trailer for that anymore, because when that came on.
I think what ruined that moment was that they told you right away that he was going to get his memory back. They should have kept that part a surprise until later. Yeah,
that was because that was, but I just finished Anthony Daniels' biography.
Great book.
And it makes me appreciate him all the more, because my daughter does 000, so I know when he talks about like all the pains of the suit, I know exactly what he's talking about. You know.
Well, those are the pains you created. You made that suit.
Yes, I know. Yeah, it's probably child abuse to put your kid in that in some countries. But so anyone else have any like so what was your favorite moment?
I don't know if it was a favorite moment, but the one scene where all of the ships show up on screen, for me that was incredibly overwhelming, because I'm thinking, holy cow, there's so much there to see. I wish I could have frozen it on the big screen to be able to say, and that's that ship, and that's that ship, and oh my goodness, what's over there? It was just so overwhelming, plus the whole idea of, you know, Lando and Chewie had gone out to collect and gather them, and they showed up, especially considering that at the end of The Last Jedi, nobody was responding. They were alone, and now they've got this massive ragtag armada coming to their defense.
That I agree. I think that was probably the most powerful moment for me too. My favorite is the moment that followed after that, where Palpatine fired that super sub-base filled lightning blast into the air. I mean, that as far as favorite moments, that would be that part, because we get to see the power of the Sith. Like, sure, his only move has been throwing lightning, but now it's like, okay, throwing lightning to the max. That's pretty awesome. I like seeing the true power of these Force wielders in these movies, where they can visibly show that now because they have the technology.
The full power. Yeah, a friend of mine called me, and he gave me a different spin on that final scene, which I also love. And he said, look, he started crying in that scene. And this is, 50-year-old man. He started crying because that scene represented the galaxy finally rising up against the Empire. After all 9 films, they never, it was always the small band of rebels, the resistance, you got like 10 ships. And in this scene, and maybe it was because of the fact that Palpatine threatened everybody, and he blew up Kijimi, and this is it. The galaxy finally said, it's like a World War II thing, like America, like, you have to fight now, there's no choice. And when I heard him, I didn't see that the first time I saw it. And then when I watch that scene now, I get a very World War II vibe, a citizen soldier vibe from that scene, which I didn't have the first 2 times I saw the film.
Yeah, mine falls under that same time era of the movie. When Finn decided to blow up the command,
the Star
Destroyer, because I be what you say about Finn. I just always liked that Finn was like that reluctant hero, and he was using what knowledge he had. So I liked when that Star Destroyer was going down and he's sliding off, and then the Falcon comes flying in, and saves him. I just, anytime the Falcon's flying, I could take a 2-hour movie of the Falcon flying around.
There are 2 shots in that final sequence that I believe are some of the most beautiful shots that Star Wars has ever had. And they're, for me, if you remember Empire Strikes Back, where the Falcon does goes between a cloud and the screen and comes back flying at you.
Yeah.
It's like a cloud bank. Everyone remembers that. It's, it was one of the most beautiful moments in cinema history. I mean, it really was. That movie was groundbreaking. In this film, the Falcon does 2 kind of swooping moves. One when they first show up and Poe lines up behind the Falcon, where the Falcon actually has streaks behind it. And I don't understand where the streaks come from, but I don't care, because I must have played that 100 times over and over. I'm like, oh my God, this shot. And then when everybody goes home again, there's another similar shot now going toward the left, where Poe, Red 5, and the Falcon kind of go off screen, and again with the swoosh, the streams, and 2 of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen.
I appreciate those trails that they've added in recent movies to people going into hyperspace.
Yep.
That comet look, that after trail. I like that addition. It's small.
It's hard to convey.
It's nice.
It's hard to convey speed in space, when Disney made a couple of games for Star Wars that had X-Wings, we always had an issue with conveying speed in space. So we would, the data told us our X-Wing was moving, our TIE Fighter was moving, but it didn't look like it. And because things were so big and so far away, the velocity of what's going on you don't really appreciate it. So you see this object coming to you at 1,000 miles an hour, but it looks like it's coming at you very, very, very slowly. So we always added these kind of trails off the wingtips or off, whatever major body part, like off the fuselage, just to make it look like when you make a move, it just looks cool, and it indicates speed moving. And I think Electronic Arts did a great job with Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, where they did the same thing with the spaceships. You kind of have to.
Speaking of spaceships, what did you guys think of the Knights of Ren spaceship and how it had that almost like tractor trailer cloud of smoke behind it whenever you saw it?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the... Oh, man, now my mind just went blank of the movie. The Western in Space. What was that movie? Firefly. Serenity.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of a junk ship, but like a lovable junk ship.
No, but it reminded me of the Reavers.
Oh, yep. No, you're right.
The Reavers they made their ships on purpose, like run badly, like radiation leaks and stuff like that. And it kind of reminded me because it conveyed that evil in space.
That's right.
I don't know if anyone's seen Serenity, but that's what it reminded me of.
I loved it. It's the ship is environmentally unfriendly, and I think, as Ken said, it's a calling card to these guys. They don't care.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Yeah,
they're always dirty. It didn't matter where they were. If they were inside the Star Destroyer walking down that polished floor, or they were in space, they were dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken pointed out that when they walk by the hallway and the two stormtroopers say Knights of Ren and somebody, what do they say, ghouls?
Ghouls.
They are just leaving a mess on the floor. And it wasn't the guy's head, it was just their feet.
Yeah.
Dirty feet.
Yeah, that was that. I mean, I liked all that. I liked the ending, like with Rey at the end, like burying the lightsabers. I thought that was a nice way to end it, because I think they, as much as it was the end of the Skywalker saga, they didn't really throw out any of the stuff we loved, really. I mean, there's some of the stuff that they didn't do from The Last Jedi, but I think in universe they can talk through a lot of that.
Yeah, I loved that ending. There was somebody on Reddit slowed down that sequence, and as she turns on the lightsaber with that new circular switch, the lightsaber goes. There's little circular lights right below the blade, which are new too, and it goes from purple, blue, green, yellow, and then it all turns yellow. And I thought, what does that represent? What is it saying? But it's clearly all of the, it's a metaphor for, I guess, all the good guys on the light side.
And it leaves it open to so much more. So even though, like you said, it's the end of the Skywalker saga, this can go tons of different ways. So it's definitely not the end of Star Wars. That's for sure.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
And it is nice because it's like a complete story. So if the actors in the movie go the same way the actors did in the original ones that don't want to do Star Wars for 30 more years, they can still do something. Where after Return of the Jedi, we were kind of hamstrung for a while because they didn't want to do Star Wars. I'm old enough to remember that they all pretty much all of them ran away from Star Wars for years, and that just held up any hope of 7, 8, and 9 coming right away.
I think there were other moments in that film that I enjoyed. There was one moment that I would have liked to have seen more, and that was the light speed skipping. I think that scene was really cool, but too short. I enjoyed the tread speeder fight, the chase. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that was a great scene too.
Well, Colin, I'm sure Colin was looking too, but I was looking at what armor am I going to like to build out of this one?
I want to build the cattle prod thing that they corralled Chewie with.
Oh yeah. Marty might let you use that on him.
I know there's a guy on one of the Facebook armor building groups. A guy just finished his 3D printing. It's a pipe. You take a PVC pipe and you build around that and I think he's giving it away for free. If you might be able, I might be able to look that up for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Because my Mandalorian merc has a pike sword as his main weapon.
Oh, okay.
I think the other scene that surprised me how good. I'm sorry. Well, I was going to say the other scene that surprised me was the battle between Rey and Kylo Ren, that had some really clever edits as to how one thing affected the environment and the other. And then when they did these pan shots, Rey's standing in one room, but in the same shot, her right half is actually on Kijimi, and her left half is on the ship. I mean, if you watch that again, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that was neat because I didn't know what to expect because I had seen that one shot somewhere of them fighting, and it looked like when they broke Vader's mask, and I was like, that seems odd that they're fighting right in the middle of the ship.
What did you think of the fight on the Death Star? When I saw that, I was amazed at how intense it looked. It looked like they were both swinging those lightsabers as hard as they possibly could.
It did look really heavy the way they were doing it. I thought to myself, like, were they filming it slower with the intention of speeding it up in post? But like at the same time, it does give this vibe of it was a real heavy moment, a real emotional fight for them.
I don't want to throw.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't want to throw shade, but one of the things that I didn't like about The Last Jedi was the choreography of the scene in front of Snoke's the battle with the red guard.
Right.
And the difference in this movie, I think, is that watching that scene over and over again, it looks like they're trying to go for killer hits. I mean, Kylo is kind of defending himself, but Rey is not going for his feet. She's not going to sort of to scare him with the swoosh above his head. She's trying to kill him, and the anger is building up. And like you guys said, absolutely right. These are really hard hits. And I read online that when Rey looks at her hand when it's injured at one of those hits, it was because she actually injured herself, during that scene, and it just kept rolling. And that kind of authenticity to me made that lightsaber scene very, very powerful.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I didn't know where that was going on the Death Star, so I did like that. Seeing a Death Star, I was hoping to see more Ewoks at the time.
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of there's an entire scene with Wicket that was left out.
Yeah.
So you got to actually see Ewoks, and you're unhappy you didn't see enough Ewoks? Come on, you're a stormtrooper.
I know. Well, I know. I'm not a biker scout though, so I'm not as traumatized. I don't like the. I'll get in trouble with all the 501st guys, but I don't like the Return of the Jedi stormtrooper armor. So, I'm sorry. I'll stick with my New Hope. If they would have had New Hope armor, they would have won. I'm just saying.
So you were talking earlier, Colin, about how you thought that the movie was really fast, with the exception of the scene where Ben and Han Solo were on the Death Star. If you go back to what we were just talking about with that fight on the Death Star, so even the water around them is erupting and it's really chaotic. And in that scene, there was none of that. Even the water had calmed at that moment.
Yeah, it got calm there.
Yeah,
that scene was great. I'm sorry. That scene was fantastic.
Yeah, well, if you watch the Force Awakens, it's almost like they just did an alternate shot to that bridge, almost move for move. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like it's what Ben wanted to happen on the bridge, but then when that light went out on him, he succumbed to the dark side. Like it's almost like he got to redo that time with his dad.
Yeah, it was poetic.
I think that's exactly right. I think that is exactly what that was. It was his wishes of what he should have had the strength to do in the original movie. And that's what makes that scene so sad. It makes it sad that it is a memory, because it makes it even more tragic. Because it's not Han, saying goodbye or giving him approval. It's him hoping that that's what would have happened.
Right.
What a scene. What a scene.
Yeah, it was a good one. I'm gonna hope and tell myself that wasn't just an unused scene from the Force Awakens, and that they actually like refilmed it.
Well, no,
with the purpose of being poetic.
No, his hair was different. His hair was his hair was different for real.
Han's hair?
Yeah, no, it was different. Because I was working on Old Man Han there for a little bit for Celebration, and I was like, I like having a helmet on better. But
How many times do we wish we had a moment like that to take back, especially after someone? Oh, in this case, you killed the person.
Yeah,
but after someone dies, you know.
Yep.
Thankfully, I don't have to take that moment back because I've never killed a person. But
You've never, yeah, well, yeah. I've limited that to myself too. I haven't done that too much either.
Too much?
No.
Killing people? Mike.
Hey, we what we got? Did you get in on the snowball fight at the Whitaker Center in your TK?
I was on the outside of that fence. I came down after that started.
Oh, okay.
a stormtrooper snowball fight?
Yeah, they had a snowball. So we saw the movie, and then the those that have not ever trooped the movie, a lot of times the movie theaters don't know what to do with us because really they only need us for about 15 minutes, and then for some reason we wind up staying around. But the Whitaker Center, they took us down and they had a snowball fight area. It was like foam snowball, like puffy balls. And
I thought it was like outside.
No.
Oh,
Then, well, the problem is that I couldn't bend down to get them. So luckily we had Dan was squiring and he was handing them. Safi was in there with her throwing them with 000 too.
She was getting some good hits in, if I remember.
There's got to be some video of that somewhere, I hope.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone took video of that.
Yeah, no, they did. There were some. There were definitely pictures. I thought somebody grabbed some videos that were on the Karita Facebook page.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look.
See if we can share some of those.
But no, I mean, so that brings us to. I mean, we got more to say if we want to about the movie, but the sadder part of it is like we don't have a movie for a while. Like we've kind of been spoiled these last couple years since Disney took over, where we have relatively regular viewings of movies. So, what are we all going to do?
Well, we got Clone Wars coming up soon.
I know.
That's February.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Mandalorian Season 2 will be coming up soon.
Well, I'm hoping. I doubt they'll do it, but I'm hoping they've done it. They did it with Rebels, and they did it. They even did it with the Mandalorian too. Where I'm hoping that somewhere they do some viewings at movie theaters. Like I think the closest one for the Mandalorian was in New York, but they showed like the first 2 or 3 episodes in a movie theater.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And so I'm hoping, like the Clone Wars movie. I've been into 501st long enough to I trooped the toy release of that because they had the Clone Wars in the theater. It was the first 2 episodes of the Clone Wars was the movie. Rebels, I trooped that one too. They showed the first 2 episodes of Rebels in the movie theater. They were just like limited events. So I'm hoping that they do that in conjunction with Disney Plus. Just because there's nothing like watching a Star Wars movie with a whole bunch of people that want to watch a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it definitely is a different vibe, that's for sure.
Oh, we could look forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the short series they're doing, which I'm glad they're doing it as a short series, not as a movie or something extended. I'm glad they agreed on that.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be a unique one to see how they do that and don't undo, because they're doing pretty good about not undoing the canon or resetting much. And then we have the Cassian Andor one.
Yeah, that one I'm struggling on how to feel about that one. I guess I'll just have to wait to see it.
Well, I think excuse me, I think K2 being on it gives me hope.
So it'll be like a buddy comedy?
Yeah, I don't know what a comedy, but it'll be like the IG-11 was in The Mandalorian. You'll have that like dry, and droids are allowed to be a little more brutally honest than people in Star Wars are.
I'm expecting more of a vibe for the series that like from the Solo movie where Lando and what was the droid's name?
L3.
L3. I'm expecting that more of relationship now that we're going to get a little bit more in-depth look at their characters, which it's easy to do. We didn't get a whole lot of their like true character development in Rogue One, so I think that's a series that's up in the air. We could get something really good like The Mandalorian because there's just a lot of information we don't have that they can just take liberties with, and I'm looking forward to that. I just keep forgetting that it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, well, Zoe sat in on they did the guy who does K2SO did a panel in between panels. Mm-hmm. And so she was sitting waiting for, I think, the Clone Wars panel, and he did a live talk show about him, and Warwick Davis did like a little show talking about his upcoming show. The guy who does cool. K2 at Celebration.
Alan Tudyk, I think.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk. So that was pretty cool. But
and I think they did, somebody confirmed that there's going to be some form of sequel to Rebels. Mike, I think you would be excited about that.
I am, except that just means I'll probably have to make another set of Mandalorian armor.
Well, they might follow with Sabine's epilogue armor. You know, you might not need to. You could just finish that one.
No, the epilogue's done. The epilogue is done. There's no CRL in the Mando Mercs for it.
So is that the 6th set of armor you've made for her? Or just
she has 4. Wait a minute, 1, 2. She has 4 complete sets. Because I haven't done.
Turning around.
I'm turning. I'm looking at the helmets. I'm like, so she has 4 complete sets. I haven't done season 3 because both her and I aren't really like season 3 is too yellow, and it's like yellow and purplish, and neither of us like it. So I have all the armor plates cut for it. It's just I gotta order the helmet and make that. Anthony's like, what are these fools talking about?
No, I want to be a part of it. I told Ken, actually, part of the reason that Ken and I met was that I've been going to the Star Wars celebrations for so long, and I'm always an outsider because I don't have a costume. I'm a creative director by trade, and I just can't make one. I don't know how to do it.
Well,
I feel horrible.
You got to go with Ken to the next Mando Mercs party. Like Colin and I are 501st guys, but the Mando Mercs party, they get stuff done. My parties, we just stand around and eat slushies.
Not true. The last time I went to your house, I made a helmet and I made coins. So when it was just the two of us, we got a whole lot of stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll at least by my next party, I'll have the Mandalorian's helmet done. It would be running on the printer now, but it would disturb our podcast. So I had to plan my prints around the podcasting time because for some reason I decided to put all my sound equipment in the same room as the noisiest thing I own.
Location.
Right.
Going back to the Rise of Skywalker, I think that the thing that I enjoyed the most was seeing the non crazy Star Wars fans like us really enjoy the film. A lot of kids that we know, I have 2 12-year-olds, and their friends all loved it. People that saw the film that have to, just a tertiary interest in Star Wars, they loved it. And for one, it's a fun film, and you could tell they tried to make a good film. Mm-hmm. And with The Last Jedi too, even though it's not my favorite film, these people are trying, and these are very, very difficult films to make. And I can criticize them forever, and everybody could do that. And maybe that's a discussion we should have, because Ken and I had a very long Last Jedi discussion that lasted about 2 hours.
Should have recorded it. Content. From now on, you have to record every discussion.
Will do. But the lasting impression that I get from Rise of Skywalker, besides closure, is a sense of, well, peace. The story's over. Mm-hmm. And now you can go back into the earlier films, even in the prequels, and go, okay, I know how this character's arc ends. I know how Palpatine's arc ends. I know where this is going. And now that you know Rey at the beginning, it kind of changes your perspective on how you see The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. Even so far as going into characters that, like Han Solo, and knowing that he will have a son. It's always in the back of your mind when you watch those films, because now you know where it's going to go. And I think as a sense of closure, it did its job. And is everybody happy? Most people are happy, not everybody.
Well, when I left, the first time I viewed it, besides being upset that Colin was sick and was hating Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. But
Ouch.
It made me want to go watch more Star Wars movies when I left that theater. like when I left, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I need to watch. And so, like the next day or two, I had Disney Plus on, and I just started with, Phantom Menace. It just made me want to watch more Star Wars.
What's funny? So my two stepsons have been going to Star Wars premieres for several years now. And in 2015, when we went to Force Awakens, that year we bought Derek a $120 Lego set, Kylo Ren ship. He never built the dang thing. This year, after going to see Rise of Skywalker, he took it out, put it together. He asked me to get floor mat foam. We've started cutting out the patterns for a Mandalorian helmet.
Nice.
This kid is watching the Clone Wars on purpose, so I don't know what it was about this film, but it got our two boys back into Star Wars. We had an hour-and-a-half dinner the week before The Rise of Skywalker came out, talking about what the movie was going to be like and asking if we were going to like it. And I'm like, where do these kids come from? Like for 4 years, they didn't they went to the movies, they went to see Star Wars, but this one really got them going, so much so that Derek wanted to go back and see it again in the theater. So I had to go and see it again in the theater.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's the adventure, right? I mean, this is what they're all supposed to be about. It's supposed to be fun. And
I guess it helps that this... No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say it helps that this one alluded to so much from the prequels, from the original trilogy, like so much that you kind of have to go back after. It's like, wait, oh, that was Nien Nunb in there real quick. Like, okay, what was his relation to all this? Who are all these people who showed up to help in the end? All these stories, these threads, these lineages that we've been following, that if you just kind of been cursory paying attention to these ones, this one was so action-filled, drew you into it to the point where you need to then go back. It makes you want to go back and watch. I can totally understand how your kids would want to be a part of that, with all these tie-ins. That's such a huge closure.
One of the things I thought was really amusing about this one was there were so many little nods to people aren't who you always think they are. Like the whole thing with the Spice Runner comment.
Oh,
you were a
right.
Spice Runner? And so they didn't. So they'd been fighting with this guy and didn't know that he had this other side.
Runner of Spice.
Runner of Spice.
Yeah.
Get your spice. So Princess Leia was open to all of these renegades, rebels, scruffy-looking nerfers. Yeah, exactly. Welcomed them in and gave them a chance. And so that actually ended up being a conversation that I had with the kids afterwards. And they were talking about that in relation to people that they know at school.
Right.
This person I thought was a jerk, and now that I've given them more time, they actually are really nice. Or this person I thought was really nice turned out to be a stinky jerk.
Wow.
So we brought Star Wars into the real world conversations.
That's every day at our house.
That's every day here too. The thing that they really had a problem with is, and this is something that, so I have my feelings about that film, Last Jedi. My least favorite film is like the first half of Attack of the Clones. I don't know, it's too much exposition. But the thing that we shouldn't do, is just put our negative thoughts on the internet, because I don't see what that does. I really don't understand what that does. And what happened with The Last Jedi was that they have, you created these two groups of people. Oh, this is great. This is horrible. And the internet amplified it. Now, I had heard, I think from a news source, that the Russian bots actually, they thought that was a way to break up American society to some extent, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but who
it.
knows?
Well, and to add on to that, it is something to just, like, not let it go, but it just let someone enjoy something if you don't like it. And like for me, I'm biased the other way. I'm pretty much going to like it, any Star Wars that comes out. But I do see where some people just had to, like, almost like wreck it for people. Like, oh, you like it, well then there's something wrong with you. And I don't know. I still, it's still a good movie, and I mean, I overall the Rise of Skywalker, I just think that to me it was really good. I still wonder if they should call it the Palpatine saga and not the Skywalker saga. But
that's what I want to do is go back and rewatch them. When I have more time, I want to do a full movie rewatch, but from the perspective of Palpatine. I'll start with the prequels, and I'll ignoring the whole Anakin Vader Skywalker story and think of it from the point of view of, all right, this is Palpatine's arc that we're actually paying attention to the whole time.
Which makes it even more brilliant because he was sneaking, conniving in so much stuff.
Well, and in the Clone Wars, it gives the Clone Wars even more, the series. It gives the Clone Wars so much more because you think about all those people that were basically building the Empire for him under the guise of, helping freedom. And it shows the flaw of the Jedi in the sense that as soon as they got their general, be called generals, then all of a sudden they forgot all their training and oaths of being good and became warriors when they really were going against what they should. It shows that pride that they let get in their way.
Which is exactly what Old Man Skywalker was talking about for Macto.
Yep.
That's why it needed to end.
And as much as I like Rise of Skywalker, there are some things small changes that would have made it significantly better. And I think one of those was when Finn meets what's her name? Hannah? Is that her name?
Hannah.
Janna. When Finn meets Janna and he says, it was just a feeling. I couldn't, shoot the other guy. And she says, us too. Just a small change. We heard about you, Finn, and we knew that somebody that we didn't have to follow orders. We didn't have to do anything.
Yes. That would have been that would have been a big. We could dub that in. We'll just dub it in our copy.
And there were other
what did you think
too?
of the? What did you think of Love's True Kiss?
That was me and Zoe had a big discussion about that. Neither of us really liked that.
Sad, as Dio would say. Sad.
Sad Dio J.J. Abrams' voice.
Yeah. Well, Dio was a good almost
provider of exposition, yes.
Yeah, and he was but he also kind of reminded me of if you summed up Chopper, K2SO, R2D2, C3PO, and BB-8. And you packed them into one droid, just the simplest parts. It would be Dio.
I thought he was just
very dog-like.
Chihuahua. Yeah. I got Chihuahua from his vibe.
I just know the droid builders were going nuts for him. But I think he'll go the way of BB-8. You don't see many droid builders building BB-8 because you can't do the puppetry motions even with the best built BB-8.
Except for it didn't.
That would be a really funny cosplay because I think
the green guy,
the green guy, where he's pushing him around on a PVC pole.
Yeah,
that would be a funny costume. The green screen guy.
They had him at the premiere, but I know Jason down in Maryland has a BB-8, and he was saying that you can't get those crisp turns that you need when you're taken to an event with children and stuff. You can't really move him around as much if there's people around. I
was gonna say, didn't we just have one get finished here in Central PA? Maybe it was Bill Miller, maybe.
Maybe, but again, all the guys I know, then they wind up just putting them on a stand, like the BB-8 or the Dio.
Yeah. I know Kate likes to bring his what is that, Hasbro BB-8?
Yeah, that's what most of the droid builders have just foregone their build a BB-8, make a static one, and go buy the Hasbro one just because it's slightly off scale. But if you go to an event with children, it's the perfect scale for little kids.
Yeah.
The other thing about the Rise of Skywalker that I liked, Safi and I did an 8 o'clock. We had to suit her up at 7 a.m. We did an 8 o'clock showing on Saturday, and it took an hour and a half to get her into costume because we had very little room. And those that have seen 000 get dressed, I have to lay a whole table of parts out. I would say probably 3/4 of the kids, it was a private viewing, were girls dressed as Rey and Princess Leia and Jin, and they were all probably under 10 to see the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, it was
great.
really cool. And I was telling them, like, because they were getting pictures with 000, and I was giving them stickers because I had 000 stickers made, and I was like, that's a girl in that suit, you know, just to remind them, so, you know, that showing that they can do it too.
Another thing I liked about Rise of Skywalker was that it introduced new vehicles and just the audacity of what was going on. Like when those stormtroopers flew off of those tread speeders.
Oh yeah,
that's Star Wars.
Yep.
I think the modern sequel. You know, it's funny because everybody says, "Oh, Disney's just trying to milk this for cash cow. It's money." It's not, because if it was, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that, you know, stayed on the cutting room floor in both Force Awakens and in Last Jedi that were new vehicles or new ways to use vehicles. You know, like the trebuchets in the back of the M6 Walkers that weren't used.
Oh yeah, right.
You have the snow speeder and a whole bunch of other stuff actually that wasn't used from the Force Awakens. So if it was a cash cow, and they would have put those things in. But here are these tread speeders with these guys that catapult off of them. I'm like, oh my God, that's Star Wars. That's insane.
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
The sequel trilogy does not have, if you go back and watch the prequels, it is just so over the top. I mean, it is over the top, especially like the Phantom Menace, like the stuff that they're introducing.
Yeah.
Is insanity. It's like an LSD trip. And I think the sequels, for as much as I like the sequel trilogy, what happened? I mean, even like Canto Blight just looks like, you know, a nicer version of Vegas. I don't feel like it's and the deleted scenes of Canto Blight were actually much better, and it had a lot more creatures and speeders. I don't know what happened there.
Well, I am curious. When they put the special features, I like the special features and deleted scenes on Disney Plus now, because you can just literally just hit a menu, where before they usually hit it on the back of on the old DVDs, or, you know. So I'm curious if we'll get a bunch of those scenes put on there.
Do you think we'll ever see the extended JJ version? Because supposedly there's a 3-hour version of the Rise of Skywalker that was put together, but they had to cut it down.
I could see them doing it. I mean, they did it with Lord of the Rings. They did that like 10-hour version of each of those movies.
I think if they gave the movie an extra half hour even, it could have resolved a lot of the rushed, like having the feeling like you were fixing everything from the last movie problems that first segment, the first act of the movie. Where I had the biggest problems, a lot of the reviews had the biggest problems with too, I think could help if there was a cut that involved an extra half hour at least of content.
Yeah,
I would really hope to see that.
Out.
Yeah.
They had a commercial, one of the trailers for Rise of Skywalker, where they you hear Palpatine, "I was every voice inside your head." Well, in the trailer, that scene is actually, which is odd because it's the opposite of what you'd expect. That scene is actually longer than it is in the movie.
Yeah.
And it needs you need that sort of space to take it in, because, you know, he's saying something that's so profound to the Star Wars universe. All these things that he's been saying, he's been, like, you know, talking to Vader's mask, and it wasn't Vader, and Snoke wasn't Snoke, or it wasn't under his own control, and all this stuff you thought happened was just a trick, which is, by the way, brilliant writing. Well, let me soak that in a second. But no, boom, 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 boom. We don't have time.
I'm going to disagree with you on the brilliant writing part. I think it's more of an ex machina, and if it was given more time, if it was set up better, less drawn out a little bit more, and given a little bit more weight, then yeah, it would be great writing. But the way it came across as an ex machina, that they were just trying to fill in and give people what they wanted. The way it turned out, what it could have been was great writing.
I agree. It did come off that way. I do know that Snoke. Well, I can't say everything that I want to say. So if I say certain things, everyone knows where it comes from. I will say that Palpatine was the original intention, and this is where we should let's talk about this. This is where you get the creative visions where they start to go different ways. So you have Kathleen Kennedy, who's taking over the franchise. J.J. Abrams, please help us do this. Okay, I'll work with Lucas. I've done Star Trek. I've done other things that are complex. I'll give you the first movie to set things up, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And then you have, which I think was a big mistake. Now, I appreciate different things. I really do. They want to talk about how bad the Jedi Order was and how blind they were and all those things. Fantastic, because I agree with all those things. But you cannot have 3 different directors or 3 different visions create one trilogy, because it doesn't work. And if you read Trevorrow's script, which now has been confirmed by Variety and a couple of other places, that is the script. What the heck was that?
Yeah.
Like, it was really, I mean, if you thought Last Jedi was kind of a downer from an emotional, not from a bad point of view, but from just like, wow, everyone's like losing here. That is nothing compared to Trevorrow's script, because everyone just died.
I probably would have liked Trevorrow's script.
We can make the fan make it a fan film.
I liked Infinity War before Endgame. Let's just put it at that.
Well, I'll you know what? I just happen to have a list of things that were different from the Rise of Skywalker to the Trevorrow, what was it called, Duel of the Fates script.
That's right. He was going to call it the Duel of the Fates. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. Now, one of the big things that kind of drove the changes was Carrie Fisher's death.
Right.
And that really had a huge impact, because he had such a big part in Duel of the Fates that they literally couldn't do it at that point. So, because they didn't have any footage, a whole bunch of new stuff was required. But apparently, Rose Tycho was a key character. Coruscant was a major location, but it kind of like a destroyed, run-down version of Coruscant.
I thought they blasted Coruscant with the Starkiller base.
No,
that was
Hosnian Prime.
Hosnian.
Okay.
Ghost Luke,
like new Coruscant.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
Ghost Luke haunts Kylo for the majority of the film. Palpatine had another master that was not. That was Darth, not Darth Sidious. Darth
Plagueis.
Darth Plague. I love that name. It was a guy named Tord Valum. Okay. Kylo's face was burned, and Mandalorian armor smelted onto his face.
Well, that's pretty dark.
But Mandalorian armor? I mean, how does that even make sense? Rey learns more powerful Force abilities, including the ability to communicate to 50 planets. Rey is not related to Palpatine. She is just a no one. Kylo Ren killed Rey's parents by order from Snoke. There are more Force ghosts in the movie, which I actually would have liked. You have Force Obi-Wan, Force Yoda, Force Luke. Rey had a double-sided lightsaber hybrid of her staff and Luke's cracked saber.
Oh, that would have been cool. Is that French?
Kind of like a mock-up that you can do from Jedi Fallen Order.
Well, I wonder if you could do like a blue and green saber at the same time. I guess you could.
Yeah.
Check this out. Chewbacca flew an X-wing.
Yeah, I don't know how he would
fit there.
What an X-wing?
That's like
XL?
Eunice in a Honda Civic. I don't know. Would he fit?
And you got 3 more. Kylo Ren does not get a redemption arc. Rey and Kylo battle on Mortis. He reveals he killed her parents because Snoke ordered him to. And Kylo is eventually extinguished after Luke tries to bring him back to the light side.
Wow, that's very different. Shoot.
And 2 more. Rey questions the balance of the Force. There's a line in the script: balance, the dark suffocates the light. Light extinguishes the dark, over and over and over again. How is this balance in the Force? And finally, Leia and Rey share a touching moment. You're not like my father or my brother, says Leia. You're new. Whatever happens, remember the Force chose you, Rey. Your story isn't written by anyone else. So the movie ends with Kylo dying, and that's it.
No smooch?
No, they fight to the death. Actually, I think she ends up killing him.
What could have been? I don't know.
That sounds more like a Clone Wars animated arc than it does the final movie of the trilogy of the non-elegy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of packed in there too. Well, I mean, yeah.
I think people would have walked out really angry. It's not when you end these things. I mean, I think people always forget that this is supposed to be entertainment,
Right.
and especially escapism. And when you have a real serious threat from the television industry, where now you're getting Game of Thrones and Mandalorian, and these epic sagas that are on your home television screen, which are also larger than they used to be, you have to give the people in the audience, why are you paying your $12, $14, $16, whatever it is, because it's something great, and there are very few films that still are able to hold that ability. I haven't seen the newest Terminator movie, but everyone that saw it thought, hey, it was really good. But is it good enough for me to pay $14?
Right.
I bet that means there's a lot of nostalgia bait. If I had to guess, based on the trends, especially some of these most recent Disney movies, my guess is that the reviews are really good because it's a lot of nostalgia bait.
The reviews were good.
Sarah Connor put on a really good performance.
Sarah Connor. She put, everyone says it's a great movie, but nobody went out to see it.
Well, we saw it, but I didn't want to say it out loud. Heather loved it.
Was there a lot of nostalgia bait?
There were moments of it, but not enough for me to say, oh, absolutely loved it. Unlike Rise of Skywalker, loved it.
Yeah, I would have, and even the red armor, I didn't think I was going to like that because I didn't like the still photos of it.
That was cool.
But then after seeing it, I was like, oh yeah, I really like it. Now Zoe doesn't like it. She thinks it looks like someone 3D printed it and didn't clean up the print lines.
Oh yeah,
she's biased.
It does look like that. It does look like that. And maybe that's how he created, right? Maybe like JJ's like, hey, wait, I like that.
I would love.
And for me, this was like all the other movies because there were so many times I wanted to just freeze frame it to get a better view of the creatures, get a better view of the costumes, get a better view of the ships and stuff that we have on scene. I mean, there was the one scene where they walk through the bar on Kijimi, and there was this giant furry guy in the background.
Oh yeah.
And I for the life of me couldn't figure out what it was, who it was, but it was just cool to look at.
Somebody's making that for Anaheim right now.
I was just really excited to see
that
that John Williams was the bartender.
Yeah,
that makes me really happy to know that.
Did he get he has to have a name then.
Yeah, he had a name. I don't remember what they said it in the article. I just don't remember. Let's see if I can look it up.
I was glad for all the C-3PO stuff. I thought C-3PO.
Yes. He got it. Like, this is his film. Of all 9 films, this is it. This is his.
And I always liked Anthony Daniels because he always stuck with Lucasfilm. Always. And I read his book, and you hear how he says bad stuff, but he doesn't speak in like meme language. You have to read the whole paragraph. So people are taking sentences out of context out of that book, but if you read the whole paragraph, he's not saying what that one sentence is saying.
There are a lot of characters in this film that really finally they got a lot of respect, and I think that there's a lot of takeaways. So when you watch something, when you listen to a song and you don't like it, and you hear it again and you're like, that wasn't a bad, and then it becomes like your favorite song like a week later.
Yeah,
there's things in this film that are really kind of, the more that you're exposed to it, the more that you enjoy it, the more you realize how good it is. C-3PO is finally given some actual impact in the film.
Yep.
Not just that you are pivotal to the script here, but we also get to know more about you. That you have feelings. You're not just this funny droid that is just like a discardable, just like any other background element. You've been there for our 9 films, or what do you remember? All 6 of them anyway.
Yeah.
You've been there, and he was treated with such respect, and he's never been treated with that much respect. I thought when Lando was I mean, he looks great.
Yeah.
He's Lando Calrissian. Like, my God, how awesome is that? He's not like old and fat Lando. He's just cool Lando.
Well, and then
still smooth.
When C-3PO ran up those stairs, though, I leaned over to Safi and I said, he's not wearing the full costume. Because he had that jacket on, he had that thing. I was like, there's no way C-3PO ran up those stairs. So...
That was funny. And he's like, "Move your ass." He's like, "Oh my goodness," something like that. He was offended by that. I thought it was funny. JJ knows how to do the humor pretty well. He knows how to do the humor really well. The one thing I'll give The Last Jedi over really both Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, there are some beautiful scenes in both of those, but I think Rian Johnson had some of the best scenes since Empire Strikes Back. It's just visuals.
Yeah.
I'm glad for the amount of award nominations Rise of Skywalker is getting from a production standpoint, between the sound editing, the score, the visual effects. I see a lot going around for the visual effects, and I'm glad that it's getting that kind of respect. It deserves it.
But can you explain to me why Star Wars never gets best production design, best costumes? I don't understand how doing a replica of the Victorian era for the 29th millionth time in film gets people some sort of best costumes. And it just, they're replicating 19th century costumes. It's always some sort of 19th century something. Why do they get all of the awards? In Star Wars, it has to create from scratch a look and feel, an aesthetic, textures, all these things that they go to great lengths for. I mean, Amidala's outfits, come on.
Yeah.
That's better than any Victorian film because you have no reference for it. You have to create it. They never get those awards.
And they up the game every time.
Yeah.
So even though there's stormtroopers in every movie, it's not the same stormtrooper in every movie. They're adding new layers, they're adding new complexity, they're adding just new looks. In all the 9 movies, there's new stuff there. So yeah, that is confusing. And with that said about the awards, didn't John Williams get nominated for like his 52nd or something like that with this?
Yep.
So let's
like that.
Let's hope for that guy.
I think it is.
Is that what it's?
Awards.
Speaking of which, his name in the movie was Oma Trace, which is an anagram for the word maestro. For anyone who cares.
That's awesome.
Maybe you should take off and go to trivia night tomorrow, Colin.
Hey, I gotta go. I gotta work some point. I've been taking too much time off this winter. It's time to get back to the old grind, so that I can afford Mando armor.
I'm telling you, the Mando armor's not gonna be much. It's that for back to our costuming. It's the sewing part that gets me, because I don't know how to sew. The plastic and the resin, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that little kid? There was a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the little Mando.
Oh yeah.
With the Baby Yoda toy.
Oh my God. Disney actually went out and created like a little promo film of this kid, and they just posted it this morning. How fantastic is that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had a couple good Mando guys at Steel City that I saw. Some guys just made their own. They were pretty neat.
I've only been working on my costume for 8 years.
Yeah, I can't talk, man. I have 10-year-old Sand Trooper armor that's not finished.
I thought you were done with that.
It's done. I just have to submit pictures in. But it took me 10 years to get that done. So that's
Can we talk
Get
about
it
when?
done so you can't complain about it anymore.
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna submit it after the election.
Can we talk about Wedge?
Oh yeah, Wedge. Yeah. I was glad.
There's a little continuity error when they land back at the base. Wedge is all excited and happy. I'm like, wait, your stepson just got killed.
Yeah. He didn't know yet. He was just like, they were all just happy, and then they're just like, Yeah, well, that's what with Zoe was explaining to me with Poe, I guess, being a spice runner, that had to be re-explained because I guess he just did it for a short time because he was raised by Leia and stuff when he was a kid. Poe was. And so he had a wild phase there.
Teenage years.
I forget which book. Zoe was informing me of it, so I usually don't have to double check her sources.
I don't remember him getting raised. I read through the comics. I remember even Bloodlines. I remember all those, but I don't remember her.
He was because his parents were both killed or something, and I don't know if he was raised by them or she was trying to explain it to me, and I was just like, okay.
There was a tree. There was a force tree.
Oh, the force tree?
Yeah.
On
that
Yavin
was
4?
Snap's family, wasn't it?
No, but I don't know. I have to ask her. She's in college right now. I have to ask her when she comes back. she was explaining it to me, but I was still. It was like when we were in the lobby watching it the second time. So I was like, okay.
So, because I remembered that family. But sorry, go ahead.
There were a few things people haven't mentioned, at least I haven't seen online. There were a few, for example, in the end, where all the ships are landing back in the base, there is a dead-on shot of the Ghost that for some reason, nobody's talking about, but I know I've seen it so many times. It's right in front of you, like literally right in front of you, in like half the screen is the Ghost. Pretty cool. I don't understand why they just don't show the Hera. Why? What's the big deal?
Well, would it be Hera or would it be her son?
Or anybody. Let's just show me anybody.
Yeah.
Well, in Rogue One, it could have been Hera.
Yeah.
They mentioned General Syndulla. Just show her.
Yeah.
Why? I know this is fan service, but it's not enough fan service.
Here, just show a green reflection on the glass. I just wonder. I wonder if they didn't show any of that because they have this possible Rebels sequel coming out. Like, I wonder if they're like, okay, look, like maybe at one point Dave Filoni said, look, just don't touch these characters because I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. Like I just wonder if I always want to think that they have a bigger plan.
Well, here's something we're also not talking about. Why aren't we talking about Maz Kanata? She's been around for 1,000 years. They should make a show just about her.
Yeah.
She's probably seen some stuff.
They've been slowly adding her into some of these extended universe, in some of the books and some of the extended content. I finished reading the other day. Well, I read it in one day. The new Force Collector book that just came out.
Oh, okay.
And they had a scene, which to me it was like a Star Wars clip show. Really, if I had to sum it up in like one way without spoiling anything, it was a cool way to invent this new character and to build to the rest of the universe by making him experience a Star Wars clip show. But they had Maz Kanata in there, and it really built on her character in that story, the way she interacted, the way she helped sort of bridge the old and the new together. It was, if you want to see more of her, definitely look into some of these extended series they've got so far. But you're right, there's a lot of content we could have with her.
I like Maz. How about the fact that she was a puppet this time around? And I didn't even realize.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, she's all puppet this time. No digital effects.
I was surprised to hear that the Yoda in Mandalorian's a puppet. I was just thinking that was going to be all CGI.
$5 million puppet.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I'm so happy about that.
Oh, I am too. But I'm just surprised. I'm surprised it wasn't just like a green doll, and they're just like, okay,
Or a green ball.
Yeah,
and then they fill it in later with the computer.
Yeah.
Not that I know how computers work. I'm just guessing.
Well, that's Werner Herzog's doing. If any of you heard the interview with him, where he told the directors there, he told the crew, he called them cowards for trying to take a safety take without the puppet there, so they could edit it in digitally. Like, he straight up. I love Werner Herzog. What a great guy, great director, great actor, a great voiceover person as well.
Yeah.
But he just called him out. He's like, "You cowards! Don't use a. The puppet's great. The puppet made him like emotional when he saw the puppet. He didn't want them to put a CGI Baby Yoda in there.
I want to see the baby.
Show me the baby."
So he's breathless, which just makes it even funny. Like, it's kind of perverted. Show me the baby.
I want to see the baby.
There were a lot of fighters in the last scene. A lot of, everyone's doing like name that ship and that big battle of every ship ever known to mankind. There were a couple of standouts, though. You get to see a really good shot of the B-wing before it blows up. A really good shot of the B-wing swiveling the pivot joint that it has, and then it gets shot. But it's really cool because it was never really shown that way, even though we know as Star Wars fans that's what that ship does, but you've never seen it do that. But now here you are, seeing it do it right before it dies. And,
was the Razor Crest in that scene?
No, they were some people were saying that was just like an old. Someone dissected that, and they were like, look, this edge is round and the Razor Crest is square and stuff like that. But it looked like an old like gunship from Clone Wars and stuff.
I'm looking at the picture now. I see which one they're talking about, and it does look close. It looks similar, but it's not. Doesn't have the right colors either.
So it's the Laser Crest, not the Razor Crest.
Yeah.
No, it's.
I really,
Is it laser?
really love the tie. What do they call it? Tie daggers? Is that what the name is?
Tie Dart. The one with the triangle.
The new triangular one.
Oh
I think
yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be the
See,
dagger. I thought it was the dart.
I'm gonna look it up. I think it's dagger, but yeah, tie dagger. The cool thing about them is that these guys don't miss. Like if you watch the end scene, like they're tearing apart what's left of Poe's fleet, and they're like sharks in the water with those triangular fins. They just look really, really ominous. They don't look like the TIE fighters. They look kind of useless. These guys are just, they travel in packs of 5, and they just, they don't miss, and everything, it stands in its way. First of all, there's like a million of them, and they're great. I'm sad that you didn't get much more of a close-up of one of them. They always show you the inside the TIE fighter pilot cockpit, but they didn't show you one of those. But man, that ship is great. I can't wait to get the model kit for that one.
It is it looks like the final version of a TIE fighter.
Yes.
Like, because we keep seeing these edits, these new versions, the interceptors, the ones with these new folding wings, like what we see in Mandalorian. But like these daggers look like the best version they could come up with. It's like, we finally got it right. Let's put our best pilots in these. No more versions. This is it. This is the best we got.
I agree with you totally. There was something very interesting about the scene that I don't think... So, the last scene with the Emperor, at the end when Ben and Rey, face off against them. First of all, the battle with the Knights of Ren, when he does the shrug with everyone doing that on the internet, and Rey fights and takes at least 2 times a laser bolt midair and just throws it back to one of these guards that I can't get a good view of no matter how many times I watch that scene. That scene was great. The way that they filmed that scene, I thought was really powerful. I thought it was building a crescendo of action, which is really cool. But I thought the thing that didn't work on that scene were the acolytes. You have something that's really unexplored here. Like, who the hell are these people?
And there was lots and lots of them.
But it kind of looked weird. Like, the crowd didn't look real to me.
Because we could have done for like a better close-up where we would have seen details on some of these people to make us believe that they're physically there instead of just some like faceless ghosts.
Yeah, what do they look like? Show me a face.
Show me a face.
But they were chanting.
I know I said it. Yeah, there's some weird Gregorian chant going on of some sort. The only thing that, and I know I said earlier that I love Star Wars, the only thing that I didn't like was the fact that they put a timeline on Palpatine's attack. They said something to the effect of, this is going to take place in 16 hours.
Yeah.
So how am I to believe that all of this stuff happens in less than 16 hours? I can't even drive to Disney World in 16 hours.
Well, you don't have a hyperdrive.
Well, that's true. I got to upgrade my ship.
Yeah.
I don't think you need that stuff. I mean,
But see, I always thought Lucas never worried about time, like in his movies. It was like Luke was on Dagobah for how long? They were on Bespin for how long? Time was irrelevant.
The Death Star scene in the original Star Wars says it's like, I forget how many minutes, but it's actually much longer than that in the film.
Right.
1 minute and counting. It's like 5 minutes go by.
So, I'm looking. We've been recording for 80 minutes. So, we should end it with what's the next movie each one of us want to see? Like, it doesn't have to be grounded in reality one bit. Like, if you got a phone call and they said, what's the next Star Wars movie you want to see made, what would it be?
I think we're all going to say the same thing. Old Republic.
Anthony, so you say Old Republic, Anthony?
Oh yeah.
Colin?
I'm gonna say Rian Johnson's new trilogy. I want to see something totally new, and I want to see him do it.
So you don't even know what you want. You just want.
I don't even know what I want. I just want to see films made like The Last Jedi, but with new content.
Could be the Old Republic.
Could be the Old Republic. I don't care. If it's done well, then sure, it'll be great. But I just want to see something new.
All right, Ken, what's yours?
I want to see another Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando movie with Kira and Darth Maul. Because I thought Danny was it Danny Glover or Donald Glover? Who was
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Yeah. Donald.
I thought Danny from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and I've got Kira and Danny in there. I thought that he did a great young Lando, and I want to see some more of that because there seems to be there's room for them. They're all young enough to still be able to pull off that kind of role. I think that would be a fun movie.
I think that's the Kenobi series, though. I think a lot of that is moved into that series because it's the same timeline. And you saw that Ray Park makeup test that my friend refused it. My friend refused to comment on, so I'm like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I wanted to see more Han Solo movie. That would be my. I would like to see just because I think they have all those in place. But I would see. My one blind spot for Star Wars fandom is Old Republic. Because I just never. I somehow missed that game. Like I went from playing X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and then somehow I must have had a gaming blackout for years, and I just missed the whole Old Republic thing. And then all of our guys who wear Darth Revan, they just get called Kylo Ren anyway.
Darth Malgus and Darth Revan are some of the most deep characters in the Star Wars that have been developed. You know, one of them is a Dark Lord who hates other Dark Lords, but is in love with you know, a Twi'lek, and everyone just gives him crap for it all the time, and he builds a resentment. You know, and there's in the Old Republic, there's all these Sith are just kind of competing against each other, trying to get up the corporate ladder, and nobody could really agree to work together, and they're kind of. It's a really interesting period of time. The trick is always, you know, what Lucas did pull off with Phantom Menace is how do you make it look different?
Yeah.
I would like to see that with the Old Republic if it was from the point of view of the Sith, like competing against each other. I don't know if I would like to see like the Jedi during the Old Republic or some of that stuff. Because the Jedi have been overdone. We're still missing a lot of this Sith content, or at least in, you know, canon culture right now. And I would like to see if they're going to do new movies and they had to do Old Republic, that point of view would be what I would prefer to see. That would be cool.
Cool.
And you nailed it. I mean, the books are written from the point of view of the Sith, and they've proven that, you know, Kylo Ren, Sith, bad guy, people love him.
Do you think they'd do a Sheev Palpatine book, like before he went dark?
Yeah, but do you care though?
Yeah, they have to figure out because they eventually have to expand their base.
If they put in that book where along the line he had a child that would have become if he would have filled in that plot hole with a book, I would accept that. Now, if they could find a way to make it like, oh, by the way, I had a wife back on Naboo this whole time. She misses me. I work too much. Haha. Clone Wars are going on. That would have been great.
Well, could some of that pass in the background of The Mandalorian?
Maybe. I'll take it anywhere. Literally, write a children's book where somewhere Sheev Palpatine, like young version of him, mentions that he's got a family back home, or he had he's divorced or something. I don't know. I need a plausible reason to believe that Rey is his granddaughter.
Daddy doesn't live with us anymore.
Exactly. Something. Anything.
Well, it's interesting. They do give you a glimpse that he had a. You don't see his family, but he was playing both sides, right? Here's his human side and respected Naboo, senator, I think it was. And, in comes Mace Windu. I know what you're doing. That's treason. I mean, that's when you finally get reveals himself, but you assume that there's other things that are going on in the background where he's living a normal life hiding his true identity.
Well, not even just living a normal life. He was off sneaking around training Darth Maul in the background. He had Darth Maul, from what I remember. He had him like captured. I think it might have been Mustafar, locked up in some cell, and then going and just beating him up from time to time.
Yeah, he caught him as a kid from Dathomir. Like, he had all that time, but like never in anything did they ever allude that there was a Mrs. Palpatine. Or a Mrs.
And he had a soft romantic side.
Yeah, or even because like in the comics, they address how he like in Darth Vader's lineage. More spoilers for people who haven't read the comics. In Darth Vader's lineage, they actually address how Anakin was a product of Palpatine's meddling in the dark side of the Force, with this whole like, you know, born of the Force, born of the midichlorians, you know, BS. Like, they could do something, give me something like that, where he manipulated some other random person to create this random Rey character, but like also, oh, she's a Palpatine because he created her, not this unbeknownst to us up until now family lineage. And that's
There's
what
a
I
really
gotta
good
say
conversation there. There's a really good conversation to be had. That maybe one of the things we talked earlier about how Jana should have mentioned. Is it Jana? I keep forgetting her name for some reason.
Jana, no, that's right.
Jana.
She learned from, you know, Finn's defection that other people can do this. How powerful would it have been if that scene at the beginning was slowed down, and besides saying I was every voice inside your head, I created the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
I mean, that at least would resolve that question once and for all.
Yeah. Well, that would have... because she wasn't a Skywalker.
No, I'm talking about Anakin.
Oh, for Anakin, yeah.
Oh, for Anakin, yeah. No, that would have, in the movies, created that. Yeah, that canon. Solidified that.
That might.
And if worse comes to worse, we could always ask for a movie about the Spice Runner.
Well, in
Running of Spice.
Yeah, that could show up, like not Poe as much as, but that world could show up in the Mandalorian too.
Spice Runner of Spice.
You want to have fan fiction? You want to have fan service?
Yeah.
Give me a Rogue Squadron film.
Oh yeah, well, see, that to me,
World War II Rogue Squadron film.
I don't know how old you guys are, but do you remember
the Battlefront 1 book?
Do you remember Baba Black Sheep?
Yes.
The TV show.
TV show.
Oh, I thought you meant the nursery rhyme.
No.
I remember the nursery rhyme too.
Well, you guys are too young, but there used to be a TV show about Pappy Boyington's. It was a fictionalized version of Pappy Boyington's Marines that basically just attacked Japan and caused them headaches, stationed in the South Pacific. So if you could do a serial TV show with the Rogue Squadron, to me, that would be my perfect Rogue Squadron television show, where there's no giant impact on the universe, but they're just attacking. Oh, there's a Imperial convoy. You know what I mean? And you could do weekly shows on that on Disney Plus.
You know how World War II ended. I mean, every World War II movie you've ever seen, including the Midway movie that just came out, we know how it ends.
Yep.
But man, it's interesting to see these individual lives.
Yep.
And how they take place. And Rogue Squadron, I don't think you could do Rogue Squadron because they're kind of too famous. Just a squadron.
Yeah. Or you could do a squadron and then not like let it be Rogue Squadron, but the people don't know it until like the series is almost over. You know what I mean? Like they could all their identity could be hidden from the viewer as well as the Empire.
Or it leads up to them creating Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes I love the most in Rogue One. Rogue One to me, the last third of that film is the best of all the Star Wars films.
Oh,
it is so crazy, and then Darth Vader caps it off, right? But when I saw Gold Leader, because I wasn't expecting Gold Leader, I was at the IMAX theater. I just stood up and cheered. My wife was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "That's Gold Leader. That's really him." And some people got it. My wife did not get it. That stuff.
Sit down, Anthony. There are people watching the movie.
Okay. When you saw with the guy in the blue X-wing pilot, when he died, I mean that was horrible.
Yeah.
You're smiling like a second before.
Or even that we lost Red 5 in that movie, opening up the position for Luke
you
to
knew,
step in as
you
Red
knew
5.
You knew he wasn't making it.
He was just
Red
so
5.
He was off course. I don't think he was
No
keeping up with the
portraits.
other guys. But I mean, how many? Yeah, I've seen. I used to watch a show called. I don't want to talk about my age, but I used to watch a show. It used to be called Battle of the Planets, but here it was called. What was it called? The Spaceship Yamato. What the heck was it?
Oh
called?
yeah, Star Blazers.
Star Blazers. They had
That was a
very
cartoon, wasn't it?
similar-
Yes.
Yeah, they had a very similar thing to Black Sheep Squadron. Like, you would go out and you knew like half these guys weren't making it home.
Yep. Yeah,
But it was so cool.
Yeah. Before we go, so I'm just looking at the time, like 90 minutes, and Colin has to edit it. I don't have to edit it. Usually when it's my daughter's podcast, I'm like, I got to edit it, but I don't have to edit it. Before we've said a lot. You know what? You guys have to come on when we do the Mandalorian. The last episode of the Mandalorian. We do have to talk about some armor or something coming up, or people are going to make us take our name back.
Right.
But
We
yeah,
talked about our Whitaker Center troop.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
There was some trooping content.
That's true.
We should have a point counterpoint to The Last Jedi. That is what I'm looking forward to.
We could do that, but we could no, but we'll have to have you on again. But before we go, so I'm Mike from TK5351, and Colin, you can reach us Mike at creedcast.com if you want to send me an email, on our Facebook page. Same with Colin, is Colin at creedcast.com. Ken and Anthony, do you want to promote or tell us where people can see any work you're doing, or you just want to say thanks for having us? Whatever you guys want.
I think right now we'll definitely say thanks for having us, and we absolutely look forward to being involved in another one. We're still in the planning stages of our stuff, and we don't want to let too much out of the bag, other than we think it's going to be really awesome.
How about your armor? What tell us a little bit about your armor you're building.
So the armor that I'm building for the Mando Mercs, it's the finish of it is going to be like Phasma, Captain Phasma, so very bright and shiny. And my goal is to be very regal, almost like a ceremonial guard. So I won't say much. I'll just stand there looking intimidating, shiny, and impressive.
Not going to worry about weathering too much, are you?
No. Well, honestly, I don't have a lot of skills at that. So I figure keeping it plain or simplistic might work in my favor.
Sounds good. How about you, Anthony? You got anything to promote or anything? Or
I will try to hide in anonymity because of my role, my job is
okay.
It's out there, and it's very public facing, so this is good for me.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate having you guys on. Colin, you got anything to?
Well, can I tell you what my?
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I had an outfit,
yes.
What would it be?
We can help you build. We can help you build.
I have an addiction. I own these little, these 18-inch doll, 24-inch doll. I agree. The stormtroopers. The Captain Gree, I think he's called Captain Gree. The green stormtrooper in the camouflage outfit.
Okay.
Oh yeah, agree.
What now? What
reflective? I just love him.
What you want, the Gree from the movie or the Gree from the animated series?
I'll take any Gree.
Well, we can make Ken, Colin, and I. We can all at least make you a season 1 Gree helmet.
Yeah, I think it's funny. The animated stuff is actually kind of funny because I come from an animation background, so.
No, I mean I have the mold for the animated helmet at my house.
No, in
my God, I love
3
it.
hours. In 3 hours, he could have constructed for you a helmet that
not fully painted, but constructed.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
And I can vouch for that.
Can I just say there was a video that came out last week? Did you guys see the video of the stormtrooper fighting? Where I think Ken, you saw it, where the stormtroopers are fighting, and you see like the inside of the laser gun, the blaster, and. We're talking about films, and I know it's late. I want to see something on the point of view of the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Just what do they do? I mean, all of us love the stormtrooper outfits. What is it? What is there? I mean, you saw a glimpse of that in the last episode of The Mandalorian. They're just bored and they're shooting at rocks and they're casually mentioning, "Oh yeah, did you get anything back? No, this guy's killing people. Okay, I'll wait." They're so used to things that are so extraordinary, and they're kind of expendable. I would like to see a film like that. I don't know how you make it. Maybe
I take that as a
would have
game.
been a good.
That could be a
game. Or
Yeah, it would be a
short
good place for a
series,
game,
or-
like a Skyrim style, make your own stormtrooper sort of deal. Like this kind of you're literally faceless and nameless. You're just a stormtrooper. Hell, pick your own number, your own TK ID, and then you go through this story as this nameless, faceless stormtrooper. I think that'd be pretty cool.
How about a Sims version of Star Wars?
Yeah, right. Well, I think Zoe just told me they have a Sims add-on to that. So I don't know what that means, but
We could have an episode of just cancel Star Wars games because I could.
yeah, oh yeah.
For like 5 hours.
But hey, well, thanks for coming on, guys. I'm gonna.
Hey, we appreciate it, guys.
And,
Thanks to you at home for listening in. Have a good one, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you.